o'clock, so we're going to get rolling here. I just looking over the agenda, we do have some big things to cover. Danelle and Beth are zooming in from their various locations, and I'm very thankful for that because we needed a quorum tonight, so we have to vote on some pretty significant things that are potentially happening. So thanks, guys, for zooming in. I know it's not easy to do, especially when you're wishing you were doing something else down in, where are you, Danelle, down in Miami or something?
Yep, I'm in Miami, South Beach.
Oh, that's awful. Feel bad. And Beth, thank you for zooming in as well. Okay, so I guess what we'll do is just approve the minutes of 3:15 first. Answer a quick question, Patrick. If we barely have a quorum like we have tonight,
Yeah.
but we have people that were not at the last meeting, so have to abstain, can we still vote on the minutes, or should I put them off?
I would put them off in general because I didn't have to get those. To the
Oh,
board.
okay, so that's moved. All right, good.
Yeah.
So we won't be voting on the minutes. So I will move on to the first. Guys, on Zoom, I'm going to try to keep this as concise as possible so you can get back to what you were doing. So I'm going to jump to, I'm going to just discuss number 2 before we, which is the reorg for the EDC, because it does affect number 1. So we had 3 members of the commission step down or not ask for reappointment at the end of their terms. Meg and Dan have decided not to continue on, and after what, almost 50 years,
Yeah, close.
you've decided you've had enough of all of us, right?
Yeah.
You're so young too, Ken.
So Ken has decided not to move on with us, and I have to say it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hate to lose your insight that you've had on Walpole and in general over the last however many years, but I've truly enjoyed sitting with you on this
I
commission.
enjoyed serving.
The
I
times
don't
come.
think I could contribute as much as I used to. So
Well, we really enjoyed having you, and we're certainly going to miss seeing you every month.
And the experience was invaluable.
Absolutely, absolutely. So losing 3 members means that, we have we have Meg and Danelle sitting in different capacities on the master plan committee. And Meg was our EDC designated representative for that master plan committee. And what we had originally discussed doing was, because Danelle sits on that committee as well, but he's an at-large member as a business person in town, was swapping the 2 and having Danelle be the EDC representative and Meg being the at-large. But after some discussions, the select board, and if I get any of these facts wrong, planning board rather, decided that it would be better for us to discuss it and decide how we want to move forward with who our designee would be, as opposed to just doing, a title flip, if you will, with.
Well, I spoke to Bill Chikareski, who's on planning board, as well as the master plan steering committee chairman, regarding the planning board's decision. Basically, they wanted the EDC to appoint a new member rather than flip the positions. And the reason that being is because they designated the composition of the steering committee to be a certain amount of participants, as well as serving from a certain perspective.
Right.
Obviously, Donnell brings the perspective as a business owner and as well as an EDC rep.
Right.
But for the purposes of the composition of the steering committee, they felt that they did not want to switch titles, so to speak, and rather have a new EDC rep.
Okay, so it's important to them, before we vote, it's important to the planning board that Danelle stays an at-large
Yes.
member. So even if we said,
Business owner at large.
Danelle, do you want to become the EDC appointee? the planning board would rather not have that. They want him to remain a business.
That,
At large.
that I'm not sure about. I only know the fact that they don't want to have a random at-large member. I believe they wanted that business owner at-large member
Gotcha.
position to exist, and that the EDC would appoint a person to represent the EDC. And you know, whether
So at any, so what I'm hearing is,
Yeah.
if we choose a new representative of the EDC to sit on this committee.
Yeah.
Then Meg would lose her spot on that steering committee?
I believe by default she has, because she stepped down from the EDC, so she was only the EDC representative.
Okay, gotcha. So for her to remain on that steering committee, the steering committee would have to appoint her as an at-large if they wanted to. We
If
have
they
no
want-
control over what she can do, right?
The planning board would be.
That's what I mean,
Yeah, so
planning board.
because the planning board is the committee in effect,
Right.
would report to the planning board, and the planning board is the designated composition of the steering committee. And so. the EDC rep-
Gotcha.
rep from the EDC.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had everything clear, you know, before we discussed it as to what the options were and what the ramifications were of what we do. So it seems to me that, and Danelle, if you have any insight on this, please speak up, but it seems to me that it would not be prudent or what the planning board was hoping for to have Danelle be the EDC rep. They want Danelle to remain.
I think the only problem
The
with that
at-large.
is, you know, I can't speak for the planning board, but it would also leave us with an even number on the board. It's a 13-member board. Donnell fills 2 roles. And
Well, he wouldn't fill 2 roles. What I mean is that they would have to go out and find
Find
another
economic.
no.
Oh,
If Danelle was the economic, then, but Danelle, what are your thoughts on that? I don't want to speak for you.
I don't have any objection either which way. Well, Phil from the steering committee approached me about the idea. Obviously, I didn't know at that point that Meg was going to be leaving. And I'm still unclear whether Meg is going to be leaving the steering board as well. I'm not sure. Is that true? She's leaving, Pat? Is she leaving both boards?
I don't believe she intended to leave the steering board committee, but I think by default, because she's leaving the EDC and if she's the EDC appointed member, then she, in effect, does not get to serve on the steering committee.
See, I thought, I was under the impression that we were going to more or less swap titles because we both have a lot of time into it. And Meg's done a lot of work and the steering committee as well. And to lose her midway through the game would be kind of disadvantage to the board that where it's at now. So I thought we were kind of trying to make this move and make her the person at large so that we could retain her on the steering committee. And that I was just going to swap and be the EDC member so that we fulfill the obligation that way. It doesn't matter to me either which way they did it. And I said that to Phil at the steering committee. I don't care. I'm happy to do it the EDC. And if Meg wants to stay on and do the person at large, I think we're still all going to have the same amount of input into it. And the people that have been there throughout the whole process and understanding what we're trying to accomplish will still be able to participate and be part of it and probably get the best result out of it. I think an EDC member coming in now is going to be late in the game. All the aspects of the steering committee, the studies and all the stuff they've been doing has just been posted. We're having our final meetings and the last input is on April 26th is the last input, I think, from the town and from the forums that we're doing with the open forums. And then at that point in time, after the 15 people on the board give their input over the next couple of weeks, the majority of the work is going to be going to the company that is hired to do the master plan. Our input will still be there, but a lot of the legwork and connections and things that we've been doing have kind of already taken place, but there's still a little bit to go. But Pat, you sit on that board. Well, you sit on that. Is Meg leaving that board, the steering committee?
Well, and this is kind of just more or less conversation rather than, I don't have a memo or anything, but it wasn't the intention for her to leave the steering committee, and I don't believe she wanted to. But I do know by her not wanting to continue to serve on the EDC, then she would lose the opportunity to be the appointed member due to the planning board creating the composition for the steering committee the way they did. They wanted the any appointed member from a board to be a member of that board.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where the issue was. And, you know, you brought up the point, Donnell, and again, I can't speak for the planning board and anything like that, but that was a suggestion that was brought forward about just the switching of the titles. However, my conversation with Phil Chekarowski, who's on the planning board, as well as the chairman for the steering committee, was that the board did not want to go forward with that idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, I watched the meeting online, Danelle, and while I agree with everything Pat says, I'm not sure that they didn't want to have the personnel in place that the switch would entail. I think they just wanted to make sure that it came back to us. We made our appointment, and then if they decide to keep Meg on, that's up to them, which I think would be a good idea. I think she's valuable.
Yeah.
But I think they just wanted to make sure that we made our appointment and then they decided what they wanted to do, as opposed to what seemed like a backroom deal with us just making a switch in title.
Nope, I get that too.
Yeah, so, you know, as long as, Danelle, you're okay with it.
Yep.
You know, I think the best thing that we can do as not just an economic development commission, but in terms of trying to make the town the best it can be, I think the best thing to do is keep Danelle and Meg, or try to keep Danelle and Meg on this steering committee. So I would, does anyone else have any input at all before I ask for a motion?
No, but does the committee also want a third person from EDC as well?
No, if we're allowed to have one appointee.
Even though the appointee doesn't have to be on EDC.
Does our appointee has to be a member of EDC to represent EDC at,
So then
The
if you have
steering
Meg
committee.
and Danelle.
well, Meg is not Meg didn't re-up, so she's not on EDC anymore. That's, so the crux of the problem is, and just by sheer happenstance, Danelle is on EDC. If Danelle wasn't on
No, I totally
EDC,
understand that. So what are you asking us?
well, we need to appoint someone new because Meg is no longer on EDC. Danelle is on EDC, so we could just make Danelle our EDC.
But they don't want that, the committee doesn't.
No, they do want that. They just didn't want to have us make a backroom deal to just have them switch roles.
I see.
They wanted it to be more formal, that we would say as a group, we would like Danelle to be our appointee. And then they can do with Meg what they see fit. And what I think, to Danelle's point, she's so far down the road, she's very valuable. She knows what's going on. She's an asset. They will probably, can't speak for them, but the planning board will probably appoint her as the at-large member, which means Danelle's role and Meg's role would swap in the eyes of the master plan steering committee.
Right.
But at least the map to get there was done in an organized fashion. So anyone else have any discussion at all about it? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to recommend Danelle as the EDC representative in the master plan steering committee. If anyone wants to make that motion. Okay. All right, I'll make that as a motion, even though, am I supposed to make motions as the chair?
I'll second it.
Only three of us, seconds, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 I abstain.
Now abstains are four and all four.
So if Danelle abstains,
Still a vote.
we still a vote?
Yeah, it's still.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So at 401. All right, good. Danelle, congratulations, you're on the steering committee.
Thank you.
All right, the other big one is, Patrick and I were talking about, you know, obviously,
And Mark, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
Just to give you an update on the master plan. Kind of did a little bit, but just to let you know that things are progressing on the master plan, and that we've had open forums for a lot of discussion for people. We've had small group discussions where members, the 14 members on the board, have gone and had smaller groups. And we've gotten a lot of input from the town. I feel that the company that's doing it and working on behalf of the town feels that they're getting a lot of good, valuable input from the commission, that the master plan commission, as well as the, from the individuals there, as well as their roles there, that they're getting the information that they need to get to move forward with a very operative master plan. So I think what's happening there is in the right direction. We're in the middle of it now. We're going to have another open forum later on this month to get another round of public input. And we've been doing it through different things on open. We've been having meetings. We've been doing it through the internet. We've been getting a lot of input. And I think at the end of that round, then we're going to be getting more information in, and then we'll have a better direction on what the town's looking to do and what direction it's going to head in. But the thing is progressing. It's a little bit behind schedule, but not much. We'll be able to get caught up and get the mission done that we've been charged to do. So I just wanted to let you know that I think it's going in the right direction, and we'll have more of a package put together that will probably go out to more input, and I'll have a better, I'll be able to report back to you better on our findings and where we're at in the direction that it will go in. But just to let you know, it's moving along.
Yeah, that's great. I really appreciate that. How is the input from the public sessions been working out? Has there been a lot of input from the public, or has it been more information gathering from the people that?
No, it's been input, and I'm getting the impression for the company that does this for several other communities that they're very happy with the amount of input that they're getting and the type of input that they're getting from the town people.
But it's important.
Yeah, but just kind of hop on what Donnell was talking about as well. So in regards to public feedback, we're actually approaching our second community forum. Is scheduled for next Wednesday, April 27th, 7 to 9 p.m. in the local high school cafeteria. So this is, if anyone's involved with the forum in the fall, this is a follow-up to that, both expanding on an explanation of what data we recovered and what we learned from the fall, as well as kind of going into more of a deep dive about those the sections of the plan itself, and kind of talking about those key focus areas, sections. So as I said, that's the 27th, next Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. Actually have like refreshments served at 6:30. But in addition to this in-person meeting, we also have an online remote option. It's going to follow the exact same format, just going to be a remote, and that's actually going to be on Sunday, May 1st from 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. just to kind of give people another option to get involved. They can't make a night meeting in person, so it's nice to kind of have that weekend option. And so that's, if people are interested in signing up for that, there's a link, a registration link on the Master Plan Steering Committee webpage, which is on walpolemay.gov.
That's great. Will the Zoom participants be able to have input? Will it be an interactive?
Absolutely. So there'll be breakout rooms. The Baird Planning Group, which is our consultant on the project, they're pretty well adept at utilizing the breakout room technology through Zoom.
Sure.
I know last year they worked for the town of Medfield, and they did everything on Zoom, so it's they're pretty well versed in that. So
That's great.
Yep.
All right. Danelle, thank you for that update.
Yep.
I'm glad to hear it's moving forward and not just many more arguments that seem to plague us in the past. I'm glad it's more positive and we're starting to see something come of it. That's good news.
Yep.
So as I was saying before, Patrick and I were discussing the state of the commission and the amount of members, and is it productive? Is it hurting us? Are we getting the most that we can out of this group? And we had talked about now might be a good time with 3 members deciding not to go for reappointment, to bring at least the numbers of the commission more in line with what is something more standard in surrounding areas in Massachusetts, surrounding towns. And we had discussed going to 7 members, going to 5 members, going to 5 full-time and 2 associate members. just to try to see what was out there, and Pat took a look at some similar towns in Massachusetts, both adjacent, but more importantly, similar size to Walpole and whatnot. And it seemed like the 7-member option was the one that made the most sense. And we had talked about going 5 full and 2 associate, but I brought up the question of, are the associate roles really impactful on what we do on a day-to-day basis versus having them be just full-time members and maybe with staggered terms. Like maybe we have 4 members be full-time at 3-year terms. 3-year, is that what it is?
Yeah, so I think right now it's 5 years.
5 years. So maybe have, four of the members be the full terms, and then as you come in as a new member, you're still a full member, but maybe you get a 1-year term and then you re-up, or a 2-year term and then ask for reappointment. I think that'll let people get their feet wet as new members without feeling like they have to commit for 5 years. But also it'll organically allow us to have more staggered turnover, so we don't lose 4 or 5 people in 1 year, which could be devastating to a quorum. So I think we landed on the 7 full-time, is that right?
Yeah,
That's what our recommendation was going to be to the select board. But obviously, before we go forward with something like that, I wanted to bring it up for discussion and get some ideas or thoughts from the board members now. So let's do that. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I think 7's a good number. I like that. Enough so when we do have a committee or we do have an event, we have enough manpower to put seats there and put the people there. And I think 9 was a little on the higher side, so I think 7's a great number.
I would agree, Mark.
In the past, we've had all voting members, and it worked out pretty well, and we have an open forum so that people can come in and talk if they want on a specific subject.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. You're good with it too?
Yeah, I think asking someone to commit their time and energy as an associate doesn't make a lot of sense when if they're putting that time and effort in, they should be a full-time member. So 7's a good number to have 7 full-time members as opposed to 5 and 2.
So now?
I'm in agreement with it. We've been very fortunate, I think, Mark, as far back as we go, especially with Ken, myself, you and Beth. We've been fortunate enough to have a real solid core of EDC members that have been here for a long time. And we all know what we need to do to get it done. So we've been good enough as a core that if we went down to 7 and still have that 4-person quorum, that it would work out well. In fact, the problems that we've had with quorums is probably because we had such a larger board that the core members that have been here a long time wasn't enough to meet those quorums. So it does make sense to go to 7 at this point and have a solid at least 4 people that are always going to be there so that it can continue the work on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis rather.
Yeah, I agree. Beth, how do you feel?
I agree with everyone also. With the 7.
All right, sounds good. All right,
You want to do that as a motion? And then I can
should we do that?
just to have it on record and I can present that as a memo to the select board when all that's been discussed and voted upon by EDC.
I'll make a motion to change, will it be the charter of the EDC or the?
So because the select board is the appointing authority, they're the ones that can change the charter, so to speak. So if this board were to take basically a motion to recommend.
I'll make a motion to recommend that the EDC board goes from 9 members to 7 members.
I'll second that.
Full-time.
Full-time members and remove
Okay.
those member.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, we have a second? All in
Second.
favor?
All right.
Aye.
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 Okay, so we have 5-0-0.
All right.
Good. You're gonna write that letter?
I'll write that letter. and I'll
Oh,
provide
yeah.
that to the TCU.
Wasn't it?
Ken is not voting tonight.
Really not.
Done. But we wanted them to come back. for his swan song. We didn't have a lot of people last time, so we wanted to make sure that we had. Good. Okay, good. I'm glad we get that out of the way. So hopefully, and I don't think we're gonna see any pushback from this. They were pretty receptive.
They were,
Yeah.
I think just to have it process, to discuss and vote as well.
Yeah. All right, you and I spoke last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. I think it's important that we form the Main Street Live Subcommittee and then try to get a subcommittee meeting on the books somewhere around the end of the month or, last week of April, maybe first week of May, just to get the ball rolling on that. We always seem to start early and then all of a sudden it's on top of us and it happens pretty quick. So is anybody that's not been on the subcommittee would like to join that subcommittee or how do you feel about it? I don't want to just keep appointing the same people if other people want to get more involved in it.
Mark, if I may, from us, so, the three of us, Beth, yourself, and have been on the subcommittee. We lost Rich Ryan, which he was valuable. Love to have another member come and help us on it, just to divvy up some of the workload on that. And I know we wanted to get kicked right off on that and get that going, because one of the vital things we got to lock down now are the food trucks, which I know Ariel was supposed to be working on them. And I haven't really been updated. I don't know if Pat has been on how she's been doing with that.
A number of food trucks.
Yes.
So actually our contact in the rec department, Ariel Carney, she's taking a job elsewhere. So I can bring that forward to the rec director, Brandon Croak. I know they have an ongoing list of approved food trucks and ones that worked with in the past. So I guess I could take up the reins and try to contact them and kind of get things going.
Excellent.
Yep.
Is that going to affect us at all? Is it going to be hard to map somebody else into her role?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the rec departments, where they're at in terms of filling that position, so I can have that conversation with
Brendan's very capable. I've known him for a long time. It's just that,
if not, I can make the call.
yeah, it's just manpower and knowing who to get in contact with. That's, as we found out over the years, Danelle will attest to this. That's a very finicky business to deal with. And there's a lot of kind of like mutual respects, things that have to happen just to get these trucks to commit to you as opposed to their event that's going on that night. And I worry about a new person coming in or someone that might not be as experienced as Ariel was in getting a lot of yeses from these people and then thinking that that's enough to secure the truck, when Danelle and I and Beth have found out over the years that just giving a yes to them is not the answer. You have to stay on top of them.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that they feel good about what the event's going to be and that it's going to happen the way because these people, if they go to a bad event, that's revenue. So there's a lot of mutual trust that goes along with that contract, if you will. So hopefully they have somebody with experience that can work like Ariel did, but I'm sure he'll find someone.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, what do we do about that if he doesn't have someone? Danelle, what do you think?
Well, one of us got to jump on, at least start nailing down the food trucks, because that's the thing that's furthest out in terms of locking them down for that date. And
Brown, I could volunteer to just do the food truck. I don't want to truly jump on the committee. I don't mind volunteering, of course, that night too. I bartended last year, do it again. But my time to join a subcommittee is a little tight, but I can at least take the one task of organizing food trucks.
the thing about the food trucks, which was working out well with Ariel, is that the Walpole Rec uses them all the time. So it wasn't just a single connection of one organization and coming out of the blue. With Rec, they do a lot of organizations that utilize their food trucks. So they got a great connection with the food trucks, which is probably the most important thing about Ariel doing it, other than somebody else from our committee coming, because our committee is just a one-off event. With Ariel was dealing with them on many different events, whether it was Walpole Day up at Jarvis Farm. So she had the rec department has a great connection, and I don't think that we should take that connection away from them because I think it would hurt the relationship with, or at least us being able to get those trucks.
Yeah, I think they should remain the lead, but I think it would help, John, if we had somebody that was staying on top of them. Because whoever does it is not gonna be used to doing it.
You know, you want me to be the point person to work with the rec department then?
If you want to, I mean, I know one of the things that we're looking to do, if we can get another board members to help get donations, that's something that's be important, and even more so. I mean, last year we didn't make a lot of money because we had some commitment on donations and they didn't come through. And we really need somebody to be on top of that, is kind of something that we need help on.
I unfortunately, now I can't do that being in business, but it's tough to solicit donations when you're.
Yeah, oh, I know, I'm in that same boat, believe me.
So, I would love to say I'd help you out, but I can't join that
Yep.
committee role.
But
there also might,
that might be something I could help with, us on the donation side of it. I don't have the conflicts that either of you have, and I've done this before with Friends of St. Patrick, and so
Mhm.
maybe there's a way to take a look at some of that. And I know a few people at the Coop.
Yeah, Brian, you've had a lot of experience doing
Uh-huh.
doing sponsorships
Yeah.
and whatnot, right? That's kind of like your,
So we've never really done big sponsorships for this. It's always been
well, for the
banners with
music,
company names on
for
it.
the, yeah, but for the music, it's pretty substantial, like the budget is 18 grand. So finding, we have title sponsors that I was considering upping this year to 2 title sponsors for the music part of it at 7,500 each. So it's a pretty big commitment for a one-night event.
Sure.
But that's, you know, your expertise could come in pretty well there. If you know some clients that might be.
Well, who
unable to
who
pull the
wants to
trigger on it.
have 6,000 eyeballs looking at their banner or their product or what have you in Walpole? So
Yeah, and it's also an association buy, you know, it's, everybody in town loves it. We want to be associated with this thing that everyone loves, you know,
Right.
that's kind of the thing with it. But yeah, all right. So
So,
do you want to be part of the subcommittee and, all right.
Yeah.
And you'll be the, not part of the subcommittee, but the point person to make sure that the rec is not forgetting about us.
Yeah,
with
and
the-
I'll work with Danelle and yourself to, on how many food trucks you want, what variety, and from there, who's the person, the point person at the rec?
Well, it was Ariel, that's the thing, we have to talk,
Brandon Crew.
Patrick, you're gonna talk to Brendan to find out who his new person is,
Yeah.
if he has one.
All right, just let me know. Does that sound good to know?
Yep, that sounds decent, thank you.
And Beth, you're good for staying on the subcommittee?
I am.
You have
All
no
right, so-
choice.
Everybody,
So Danelle, we're good with four-member subcommittee, correct?
Yeah,
All right,
We'll get it done.
Only because Kevin Smedley's not here, he's on vacation out of the country, but he just retired. So he does have bandwidth, and I know he's enjoyed being part of the event the last couple of years. So he may be a 5th one. Kite might be able to help me on the donation side of things, but just know that I think he's got a little bit of interest to help a bit more.
we'd love, Brian, we'd love to have him. The more members we have to divvy up the work, the better.
yeah, so we can start with the 4 and then next
Yeah.
month, or even when he gets home, if he
Yeah, right.
expresses an interest, we can always add him. But we don't need to vote on a subcommittee, right? We just let it fly. Okay. Danelle, you happy with that?
Yes, I am, thank you.
So what's a good week for people in terms of having an initial subcommittee meeting? Danelle and I were hoping for the end of April, but that's coming up on us pretty quick. Danelle, do you have any thoughts on that or what available? or-
I have master plan on 25th and 26th and 27th. but Other than that, I'm available. I mean, we've also in the past, Mark, we've met during the day,
Yeah,
you know, and I don't know if Brian has availability during the day. I know yourself and Beth and I always have been. We usually kind of meet like 10 o'clock midweek at my office, if that's possible for Brian.
Yeah, that works. I can make it work.
You want to meet like the 27th or the 28th?
that's fine with me. Just if someone can send me a reminder.
Is 10 o'clock too early for you, Beth, or a little bit later, help you out?
A little bit later would be nice. 10:30 would be perfect.
Okay,
So we're talking in your office, Danell?
yeah, you can meet at my office on the 27th or the 28th at 10:30. Which day, every day works for you guys? I'm open either or. Sounds like Beth's open either or.
27th, the Wednesday works better for me, but, you know, I can be flexible on the 28th if I have to be.
I can make the 27th work.
Let's
Let's
do it.
It's done.
Yep, 27th at 10:30 at my office.
Yeah, just something. All right, Danell, thanks for allowing the use of your office. So it
Yep.
makes things really convenient and helpful. I know that you've been doing it for 5 years, but I don't know if anybody's ever said, hey, we really appreciate it, because we
Oh,
do.
that's all right. Got it. All right, I got it in my calendar.
All right. As do I.
So Patrick, if you could have some information for that by that meeting would be helpful.
No food trucks?
Yeah, regard to the food trucks.
Yeah. No problem.
Excellent.
Okay. So we're good with that. All right.
Hey, sorry, one thing,
Yeah, no
Patrick,
problem.
does Destination Downtown use the Walpole Recs Department for their food trucks?
I've gotten them a list in the past.
Okay,
So-
so they had some excellent food trucks if you're looking to expand or you need more to call. I don't know if they're using the same ones the rec department used.
Yeah, I mean, it's the list that I gave them is the
Okay,
one list I
so
got
list
from
you have.
Ariel.
All right.
Yeah.
The zoning bylaws.
So I had this on the agenda as a discussion point. Fine bringing it up right now. I don't know if it would work better when we have everyone here or,
What I wanted to ask you was, the discussion on, is anything going to happen with these bylaws prior to our next meeting?
Yeah.
So I think it'd be better to do it when everyone's in person if possible, as
I
opposed to keeping them on the.
yeah, no, I agree just because of how the format is,
Yeah.
but just to kind of touch base why I put that on there. I had a discussion with the building commissioner, which in our town, the building commissioner is also the zoning enforcement officer. We're going over ideas and kind of discrepancies with the zoning and what we could do to possibly propose amendment changes for the coming fall. There are a few things within, especially the table of use regulation, as well as our dimensional regulations, where we thought, I thought might be suitable for slight amendments, mostly to kind of help kind of improve for businesses coming in, some things that maybe listed as a special permit that we could revisit and look into having the by right uses, or what if there's a situation where, you know, dimensional regulations on the highway business district may be prohibitive for new development. So that's something that I kind of want to workshop, especially with this committee being VDC, in terms of, you know, where are we at and what we can do to make the process a lot more, I won't say streamlined is the right word, but basically what can we do to be a little bit more business friendly? Clear is certainly a huge thing within the zoning bylaws overall. And that's something that I know throughout the master plan process, it's kind of the underlying thing with the whole master plan update is also to look into recodification of our zoning and proposed zoning amendments that might be a little bit more up to speed or updated with how some things are done with our regional neighbors. But especially for this group in general, I think taking a further dive at our table of use and re-examining what we do, especially when compared to neighboring towns, and trying to be more efficient, especially for the time that, you know, developers come in here, and how can we kind of put a post amendment.
It seems like Walpole's very heavy on special permits, but I don't know for the reason why, but they are.
Some things are certainly needed, but there's some things that I think are definitely worth taking a closer look at and seeing, are we putting forward the best possible, you know, option that compared to how our neighbors run things as well. So, yeah, I just want to throw that out there. Maybe we have to take a meeting where we kind of take a deeper dive, just all of us can meet in person.
May, that will be on May 17th.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And what you're looking at, you've given us in the packet, so we can look over that just to be more
Correct.
up to date on what we're going to be talking about in the next meeting. If we look
Yeah.
over those
And I mean, some things that if anyone, everyone brings a different area of expertise to this. So I think anything that people have noticed in the past and want to kind of run by me in the group. I was mostly kind of thinking just mostly towards economic development and table of uses and thinking of our LM district, our industrial district, our highway business district. How can we kind of make what zoning changes can we make there to kind of spur the type of development?
How about the CBD?
CBD as well. So that's CBD is definitely unique, and I think I brought this up with the group before, talking about the MBTA zoning. I had a meeting with the select board last week. One of the requirements that the state gave us for complying in 2022 is to have a brief initial discussion with the select board and discuss the current draft guidelines for the MBTA zoning. Truthfully, looking at what we have in place currently for the central business district, I'm optimistic that we may be in a good position already, especially compared to some of our neighboring towns that put more stringent caps on density. We're fortunate enough to have a good, really do have a good common, good central core, good public transit. But that is obviously up for discussion as well.
Does the commissioner have any suggestions where developer comes in and says, I want to build in central business, and then they go through the zoning ball and they go, oh, this is an impediment that we know about?
Yes.
And if we can go through, if we have that list, let's discuss it here.
In terms of what are red flags.
What are the impediments where a developer would say, that's a little too stringent, here, it doesn't make sense? Then we can discuss whether it's too stringent or maybe we shouldn't keep it the way it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we can have a more in-depth discussion on this later, but things such as parking, certain dimensional regulations such as height, maybe something like that is, depending on the location, you could take a closer look at it.
Okay, great.
Like hotels under one.
That's one. That's one. So
And the height restrictions.
that's one.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think that'd be huge. And, at that time, we can also talk about maybe reaching out to some of the developers and saying, hey, what are the impediments? What are you running into that makes Walpole different in not so good of a way compared to the other communities that you're trying to do business in? And maybe we'll find out some things that we don't know. And I think that's the most important part, is learning what we don't know. Absolutely. At this stage. All right. I think that's it for everything. I want to take a second, just 1 second, and congratulate Ken Fettig, who has, after what, 50 years, almost 50 years? 50
Yeah,
years,
I think it's probably 50.
has decided to step down from the commission. And I have to say, Ken, that it's truly been a pleasure meeting you and working with you on this commission. And you offer so much, not just in longevity, but in knowledge and caring about the community. And it comes off every meeting. You're a great example to what people that live in a town and care about a community should and could do for their community when they come in and they serve on boards and committees without an agenda, wanting things to be better and trying to make a difference. And in that respect, I think that, I've only seen you at the tail end, and I can say that I've been extremely impressed, and it's been my pleasure to be able to sit on this committee and to know you.
I second that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to thank you. Ken, I would also like to thank you. I know I've been on the board a long time, and it has been an absolute honor to work with you. And as Mark was saying, you have such an opinion on things that you don't think of coming from, from all your years of being in here in the community, that, it has been very valuable to it. And your passion for serving and always being there for the community has been outstanding.
I think
Yes.
I did a job, didn't I?
What'd you say, Ken?
I think I served with your father, didn't he? Wasn't he
You
on the-
did. You served with him many years as well. In
Yeah.
fact, I don't want to say it, but you might have served more years with him than with me.
Beth, you were saying?
I agree. Congratulations, Ken. It's been awesome. I wish you the best. You will definitely be missed, but we know where to find you.
Okay.
We're gonna bartend next to me.
Yeah, just to wrap up, Ken, we do owe you, and the town owes you a real debt of gratitude. And a lot of what you do sitting on this committee, you know, we're not out in front of people. We're not the select board, we're not the planning board.
Thank God.
But, you know, I think what we do is important, and I think it really, especially in the past, has had a big impact on the town, and you've been a big part of that. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of the commission and the town itself. All right, so I think, is that it? Is that everything?
That's it. Department updates, not too many. I'm just a few projects currently before both ZBA and planning. Yeah, 173 High Plains Street is a mixed use development. That's actually 10 residential units, mixed commercial on the first floor. They started the public hearing process back in February. Meetings, it actually
Still getting a lot of pushback.
very, yeah, I mean, it's a unique location. Obviously, it's in a pocket of business that's surrounded by residential, I should say residential B zoning. So it's kind of a unique situation where the surrounding area is predominantly residential. So that was continued till tomorrow. So that public hearing is ongoing for the use for mixed use. In addition to that, the clock tower site in East Walpole, corner of Chestnut Street and Washington Street, that is also seeking a special permit, as well as site plan review through planning board. A special permit for the ZBA for the use for mixed use, and then site plan review through planning board. So they're looking to redevelop that site as well.
That needs to be redeveloped.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, current proposals are looking like they want to preserve the clock tower, whether it's encompassed within the building or whatnot.
Was that made a historical site, that clock tower? I know they were trying at one point.
No, I don't know offhand. It's a unique situation. Usually when this town has adopted a demolition delay bylaw. So if they were to propose to remove the tower entirely, they have to go to the historical commission for
Right.
review. They're not proposing removing it. They want to encompass the build.
Good. So that's moved anyway. They wanted.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
And if they wanted to remove it, it would probably cost them a year.
Yeah.
If the historical society wanted to hold on to it.
yeah, it's a pretty iconic building.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one question on that. Did I see a for sale sign go back up in front of the old Bank of America building downtown?
Bank of America, yes, the Bank of America building, I want to say about 2 years before I got here, they received a special permit for for mixed use. They're
Yeah.
looking to do eight residential units on the two subsequent floors. Actually, I think they first proposed first 2 floors commercial, and then third and fourth floor is residential. The person that originally got the special permits, I think they started to do interior demolition, and they have actually sold it. And it's in the process, I think, right now that the person who sold it from the original owner who got special permits is now also looking to sell it. So it's kind of a hot potato of a project. It's a unique building. It's a beautiful brick building.
Yeah.
It's a unique location. Some of the issues, just talking offhand with the building commissioner, is just staging is kind of a hard problem right there, just because of the amount of land available for staging materials. Yeah, to get someone that's a little creative of dealing with tight spaces like that. So,
All right.
Moving a walk-in safe is probably a big project.
well,
I'll find a way to get it out of
I
there.
was gonna say, if you want to put a restaurant there, you can use it creatively.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, the safe room's always like the good private room in a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, love that place. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Other than that,
motion to adjourn?
all right.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.